Hello.
Hello. My God, I
You
feel
look
like
like
this.
especially aesthetic today. Is it the
Oh my
new
gosh.
light, maybe?
Maybe I also got these lights that like
Oh,
change.
yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll show you. Literally. Okay. I like just love living in the weird timeline we are. It makes up for a lot of the awfulness.
Some of the other stuff.
But they have all of these. Even this one like switches different pastel colors. And I think they change.
This is so cool. Wait, are they literally just light bulbs?
They're just light bulbs. This is called Party. Do you feel like it's a party?
I do.
But I really like there's relax and there's plant growth too.
Oh my
So
gosh, this
you
is
should
wonderful.
you should get, yeah, I feel like it's like I've been on a mission to just make like add all of the little whimsy to my life, so many times it's like the little things.
I feel, yes, like, well, it's kind of dying because it's a few days old now, but like
Yes.
the little
I
mini bouquets that we do every week. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. So I think I saw your post about the mini bouquets, or maybe you messaged me about it. And I've like been doing it pretty regularly. So like every Sunday I go and like I just get the really cheap ones from like the grocery store a lot of times. And it's so nice.
It's so nice. I have my little routine where I do my back-to-back yoga classes on Saturday, and then I take myself to Trader Joe's and go buy myself flowers and a snack. And same thing, the Trader Joe's flowers are so reasonably priced. And so I kind of go ham because I do like a big bouquet and then some mini bouquets, but it's still like maybe max $20.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
for the rest of the week, my entire, like all of my rooms, I make a really cute one and a really like I don't know what kind of bottle it is, but like a
One little long
skinny
one.
stem, and then it has like a pot, and so I love it. It just makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's
I
also fun because you can like with just a couple of different types of flowers. I love kind of making the different bouquets like pretty unique. So it's really I love the one on your desk though is my favorite maybe just with the really big peony.
I love peonies so much. I think I'm just a sucker for like a
Flower.
peony, a dahlia, uh,
Yeah.
any any like big dense flower. It turns out that that's the flower for me.
Honestly though, that's a practice that has like radically improved my life. It's so fun. I keep trying to convince Edo to help me, but he's like, you just do them so well. I'm like, you just enjoy it so much. I was like, okay, you're right. Maybe I'll
To
get
be
just like
fair,
a few.
Chris did one maybe like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago because I'd gone to yoga on Saturday. I'd gotten the flowers, and then I usually will just like I'm busy the day, and so I don't make it right away. Like put them in the thing, and then I'll make Sunday when I have more time, and it feels more like a ritual. But on Sunday, it was like sick, and so Chris did it for me, and I was like, oh, I can, I can tried. It was um, I think the biggest difference for anybody that is thinking about making their own little bouquets that I realized is that you have to cut the stems at different heights so that you are creating some dimension and some height difference in the bouquets. Because if you cut all of the stems at the same height, then it just looks like a bunch of greens shoved in a vase that are all a little bit too tall for the vase.
Yeah, honestly, I I feel like I do them like one by one and I just cut them I just cut them like very that's probably why it takes me like 2 hours, but I really enjoy it.
You're like, I take an intuitive approach to my making of bouquets.
Yeah, no, I feel like I like start with one flower, kind of like the base, and then I like literally like one by one, literally just like put them in. I have like all of my little glass, my vases, and then I just kind of like, ooh, this one would go here, and yeah, it takes me a long time. That's probably why Edo doesn't want to do it because it's like it's a process, but it's like a ritual, you know? It's
It's a
amazing.
ritual. I love that. You know what else I've been spending my hard-earned money on, Meg? Stickers.
Oh my gosh, what kind of stickers?
Okay, so the book that I gave you in February, like the magical alchemy one. Do you know which one? Yeah, that one.
Yes,
So I
the sticker.
finally reordered a copy of that for myself, but then that kind of set me on a new trajectory because I didn't have very many stickers that match that. So
Yeah.
then I had to get another sticker book that had
Okay.
other like, alchemy and magic stickers in it. Because that's just how we do. And then I had to get some random ones because I had inspiration to make a sticker collage or mixed media collage that's books, but I wanted it to be books with tarot because I saw this sticker that was like a fake tarot card, and it was a skeleton reading a book, and it just said "The Reader."
Oh,
And I was
cute.
like, "This is so funny."
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my gosh, I just made a new one for my office.
oh, I
Pretty proud of
love this
it.
one. What is this sticker in the corner that's like a vial of something or like a
Oh, it says brain salt. I don't know what that means, but I was like, my brain probably does need some salt. But honestly, okay, sticker
brain
collage I feel
salt?
like is such a hack
It
because
makes me so happy.
I got really into collage over the last year. One of my friends is actually like she's a graphic designer, but she like does collage workshops. And it was one of those, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of I do a lot of crafting. I love trying out new ones. And then there's some of them that you're like, that was so fun. No, I'm not gonna ever do that again.
Yes.
But with collage, I was like, I love this. But I actually started just doing sticker collages because they're so easy. Little just like
So easy. It's so
stickers
nice.
all over. And because I feel like a normal collage takes me like, I don't know, like 4 to 6 hours or
Yeah.
something. And like this is just like keep it like 20 minutes and just like it's so fun.
It's so fun. I think what I love about sticker, two things. One, is that there's no right way to do it. Like you can't
Mhm.
possibly do it wrong. So it's such a soothing activity.
Mhm.
And I mean, I guess that's kind of true for art in general, that it's meant to be so subjective, but that's simply not how my brain works. That I'm like, that's wrong.
No.
But with sticker collages, I never feel that way. But the other thing that it really helps me with, Meg, is that sometimes I struggle with like using my nice things. But with stickers, I'm like,
Uh,
you got these nice things to use. That's what you're doing with them. Like, use your nice stickers.
it's so funny that you say that because I have a really beautiful photography book that I got from this like used bookstore. And I got it specifically for collage. It's like this gorgeous collection of photos from California.
Ooh.
And I actually, I'm like, okay, we're on Sales Alchemy. I think it's fun to say this. Also, I have a post coming up on this, but I'm like, I like to craft on psychedelics. I think it literally brings like it helps you work through creative blocks like comparison and like these things of like, oh my God, this is not very good. But so Edo and I were crafting on some mushrooms, and he was just like looked at the book. He's like, oh, we're gonna cut this. He's like, how are we he like held it. He was like, I don't know if we should cut this. I was like, no, that's the reason why we got it. And I was like, how often do you actually like look at a book? He's like, we could put it on a coffee table. I'm like, we don't have a coffee table. But no, I totally get that sense of sometimes even with the stickers, sometimes I'm like, I don't know, I want to use this sticker. It's so cool and so pretty. And I'm like, why did you get the stickers?
Right.
If not to use them,
Yeah.
and see them constantly. I don't know.
I
Our
had a
little
couple of
over
my I had a couple of my girlfriends over earlier in the year, and we did our like, vision board crafting. And so obviously I brought out all of my stickers for that. And my girlfriend Molly used my favorite sticker, like in
Oh
my
my
head, my
God.
favorite sticker. And I was like, this is what you have them for. This
You're
is
like
like,
glitching.
but I'm like, this is like, you want to see the people you love the most use these nice things
Yeah.
that you're sharing with them. This is literally what you want. You can replace
Yeah.
the sticker. Like, you can just, the whole book was like $12.99. You could just buy the whole book again, Leslie, like, chill out. But yes, I feel like the sticker collaging helps me get over some of that. Like, I need to save things that I absolutely don't need to save. Like, use your fancy tin fish, light your beautiful candles, use your damn favorite stickers and beautiful photo books.
You know what's funny though is like I have a lot of that. Like that comes up for me a lot. Uh I feel like it's almost like having Nora came from like she is like of the streets. And she has a lot of like resource guarding.
Mm.
And I feel like having it like helping her work through that, like as a cat, I'm like, oh, I resource guard with my fucking stickers, and even kind of like even reflecting on like where that comes from in childhood and instability and everything. I'm like, ooh, there's so much. That's what I love crafting again on psychedelics because like it does bring up really weird and unexpected things. And I don't know, I feel like the more I use psychedelics too, I love hiking as well because if hiking's not a metaphor for life, I don't know what is. It's like so many parts of it just like suck. It's just like putting one foot in front of the other. And then you're like, your feet hurt and there's a lot of like bugs or whatever. And then you like look out, you're like, just look up, all of a sudden there's like a beautiful vista, which is like the most beautiful views in nature. And I did a craft club over COVID. One of my friends, she was like really good friends with my ex, and she told him, she was like, I don't want to go to craft night because they're gonna force me to craft. She was like, I'm not artistic. We got her crafting, and literally like a few sessions later, she ordered a moss wall like thing. She's like, oh, I just brought my own craft this week. And we're like, who are you? But I think it's so cool because it's like everyone is artistic, everyone is creative, but we just convince ourselves that it's like, oh, I'm not very good at that,
Yes, I do. I went through years of my life believing I wasn't creative. And saying that out loud, like, oh, I'm not very creative. Like, I'm not very like arty. And then I started maybe like, I don't know, 2020, I guess, because it's when I started posting on TikTok. And one of the things on TikTok at the time where people were doing these really, really cool pieces of resin art.
Yeah. Oh
and I was just like, whoa, like this is crazy. And so I wasn't going to invest in the whole resin art setup. So what I did instead was I bought a bottle of clear Elmer's glue.
Yes.
And then I would go on walks, and all of the like cool things I found on walks, I would collect them and then bring them home. And I got like really dense construction paper, and I would fold it up and tape it to like make my own little box, and then put all my weird things in them, and then just dump Elmer's glue on top.
Okay, I know that we say like, oh no, crafting is bad, but I'm like, that could have been bad. Did it even dry? Like,
so funny. They took forever to dry. I still have a couple of them like somewhere in one of my craft boxes, but that was this moment of like tipping my mental narrative, because I was like, well, actually that's like really creative.
You're like, I'm an artist.
Yeah, I'm an artist. I mean, it's real bad, but it is art. And so I just kept making like little things after that. And then I think I had another tipping point because I was doing some shadow work. And one of the things that came out of the shadow work is like, oh, I wish I could be a creative. Like, I wish I could read and write for a living.
Oh.
And then I was like, you literally read and write for a living, like very literally, Leslie. Like, you run a book club. This was before I'd started working on my own book, but still, like, I was writing on LinkedIn every single day. Like, I was writing sales copy. I was writing processes. I was reading all of this information about our industry and then all these books. I was like, wait, girlfriend, like 50% of what you do is literally reading and writing. Like you're already living your dream. You just had a disconnect between what you thought creativity looked like and what it does, like what it can look like when you just give yourself permission to be like, yes, I'm a creative. And the way that I sometimes express my creativity is outbound sales, email copywriting.
Yeah. I have a question for you because one of my clients, it's funny, I do, I really work on like 3 things with clients, but some of my clients are like just tactical and some of them are, I just saw the what is shadow work question. We have to address that, but I'm curious. I do a lot of like what I call like sales therapy, or what my clients call it. And so one of my clients who like has purely been tactical up to this point, she had a session with me and she was like, Meg, I don't even know if you do this. Like, I'm so worried about asking you. I was like, oh God, what is it going to be? She was like, you just have so many hobbies and interests. And I feel like she's been like really burned out with this new job. And she was like, I really want to like, she's like, I feel like I don't even like know who I am anymore. And like, I don't know like my personality. And I'm curious how you like built your identity and your personality. And it was a weird question because I think it ties directly into what you're saying about the identity of a creative and the difference between that and like creative practice. How do you think about that?
Oh man. I feel like that's such a good question. I might need to journal on it later.
Because you literally said like, I want to be a creative, and then you realized that you already were.
Yeah, I think a couple of things happened. I was so drained by corporate. Like it had so thoroughly poisoned my mind that I don't know, Meg. I just thought that there was no space for willy-nilly things like creativity in this serious corporate world. And I was on track to my goals. And it took me a lot of time to break out of that. And I would go so far as to say that it took me like courage to break out of that, because it was kind of scary to be like, well, I'm gonna be a creative. I'm a creative now. Because it felt to me like it was so different than this identity that I had, or this identity that I assumed other people agreed with of my own conception of myself. And then what I have found, especially now, I'm over 4 years into doing my Mondays where I, do my extra meditation and my journaling, and I spend extra time reading and crafting, that the space I give myself for things like shadow work, which we'll talk about, and thoughtfulness and creativity have made me so much freaking better at the professional work I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you think about it?
It's so funny because that's exactly what came to mind. I had almost the exact same experience where I've been writing a few posts about this. So like this one scene came to mind where like, I just remember I optimized every single fucking moment. And I thought I was like crushing it in corporate. I was like climbing up the ladder at this like dream of being like VP before 35. And I was even in the shower listening to business audiobooks. Like, and I know you actually were talking to me about, something you said, even like in a text message this month, was like, stillness was one of like the hardest lessons that I had to learn. And I think so it's interesting for me because identity with creativity is strange for me because I mean, my grandfather was literally a professional artist. But in high school, and I love, like, my mom always, my mom was like the crafting queen. Um, but in high school, I started like, took a pottery class with my sister, like in high school. And I was like a straight A student. I'm the older sister, and I had to cheat off of her. Like, I had to get her to help me. And then I took another art class with her. And I just fucking sucked. Like, I can't draw. And
Same, Kevin,
Kevin is
same.
personally attacked by this.
Yeah.
I still do listen to audiobooks in the shower sometimes, but now they're like,
So I was like, oh, we are we not doing that anymore? Oh.
But I literally
But I don't do it because I feel like I have to do it because I don't have enough time in the day, and I'm like struggling and I'm striving. I don't do it because I'm striving. I'm doing it because I'm like, whoa, what a cool concept. I'd love to with it for a little bit. There's different, it's a different approach.
I literally started a new book last night with like some of my friends on LinkedIn recommended. We have a little like another book club, Dungeon Crawler Kevin, which is so
can I be invited? Why am I not invited?
You should join. Yeah, because honestly, this one is really good. It's about this guy who like he kind of on like
a series.
It's a really big series, and it's weird because so many people have posted about it and told me about it in the last month. You know, it's like I was like, okay, so the sign. This guy is they kind of like the Earth defaults on their payments to these aliens, and so they create like a dungeon on Earth, and there's like 13 million people in it, and it's an alien game show to see the humans survive. And this guy, like, it's like there's a fluffy cat as a character. It is so funny already. So for me, I was listening in the shower this morning because I was like, I gotta find out what happens. I can't like, I need to read more of this book. And I think that's the difference. But no, I literally used to just be such a business girly, and art was hard for me because my sister, long story short, ended up becoming a professional artist. And so for me, I'm like, I'm not the artistic one. Like, I'm not an artist. And it was really hard for me because when I burned out, I almost realized that I like did not know myself, and I almost had no identity or personality beyond being a hard worker. And when you say hard, I'm curious what kind of hard, because for me, it was like an existential fucking crisis. And it was really hard to like come back to myself, because it's funny when I don't think that it's like building your personality, you know? I think it's truly like coming back to yourself and doing like the inner child work, and shadow work, which we could definitely talk about.
Yeah. It was hard for me because I had to grieve the loss of the only identity, the only view of myself I'd never ever known. And I had to like, and it was really hard because it's like that version of myself was cool. Like, I was doing cool things, right? Like, I was like on track to CRO by 40, and I was making a bunch of money, and I was traveling the world, and I was a sales leader that people loved. And so it's like, I had to realize that I wasn't leaving that version of myself behind because it was a bad version of myself. It just wasn't the version of myself that was going to continue to serve me as I move forward. But like, I grieved, like I genuinely grieved the loss of, or the shedding maybe of, that part of my journey and identity.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect segue into shadow work. I think this is probably one of the most my favorite questions we've ever gotten as well. Hell yeah.
I feel like I need to I'm going to read a definition, and then I want to hear you describe it. So the definition is the psychological and spiritual practice of exploring your unconscious mind to uncover and accept repressed, hidden, or denied parts of your personality. So that's like the textbook definition of it.
So the way I think about shadow work is, when we work on ourselves, I think it can be I think there's a very like limited perspective where it's like, oh, I want to work on myself. And there's multiple forms of that, right? Like we can work on our bodies, we can work on our minds, we can work on our souls. And for me, and even when we talk about like even like therapy, things like that, you can also like work on your mindsets or like how you communicate with people, like interpersonal relationships. But I think that shadow work, it's literally going into, there's like you and then the subconscious. And I think this part is almost like, the way I think about it is I feel like I think about kind of like my soul like a tree, and the shadow work is exploring the roots. Because even, for example, like I feel some of my big traumas, I feel like are almost like these like the tree was like warped or some way, and it's like, how did the tree like grow around that? And I think so for me, shadow work, and I had a crazy fucking year of shadow work last year. So a lot of it was this is a good example with the example we just gave of like, I did a lot of work on like changing my life, the external part. So I was like, okay, I'm healing from burnout.
Yeah.
I quit my job. I started a company. I literally like ended a relationship because it wasn't serving me. I moved out to New York City. I like literally changed my entire life in a year. Also, I had the death card as my card of the year that year in the tarot. And that looks crazy and like so big changes. I would actually say that the last year of healing for me, which like looked like my life was pretty stable, was the hardest of my entire year or my entire life. Because shadow work for me over the last year has been exploring the roots of anxiety, understanding what led me to be in certain types of relationships. Even like when I say the roots of anxiety, like I literally like invited myself back, my soul back into my body after literally I had a lot of like physical trauma in my background and other types of trauma that are physical. And so it's like the deepest, and honestly, I think like shadow is because it can be dark and it can be scary. And a lot of times for me, it felt like I was like performing open heart surgery on my soul. Cause it's reopening a lot of wounds and like healing from the inside out, healing the deepest, darkest parts of yourself. And even for me, I do parts therapy. So a lot of it's like visualizing different parts. And like, I literally met, I think maybe one of the darkest, deepest parts of me is this little girl who's like in a cave and it's like freezing. And I like helped her out of the cave and I gave her like a little cocoa and I've been working with her for a few sessions now. So for me, shadow work, it's like such a big question, but I think it truly is like, so also when you have a sick plant, you can like trim the leaves, or you can be like, okay, what kind of soil is in it? And like, how are its roots? How do you describe it?
Oof. Yeah. heavy, emotional. I can share maybe my favorite shadow work prompt that I've ever done. Because I've done like maybe two times where I was like really doing a lot of shadow work. One was when I went through that whole sober curious, like 100-day sober curious reset, because I was asking questions of myself that I had never dared to ask before because they felt super dangerous to ask. And so I think that is a role that shadow work plays for me, is that it creates some structure around asking myself questions about myself that I'm afraid to ask because the answers might be quite scary, or they might be uncomfortable truths that I then, because I've surfaced them, have to process. That was one time, but a few years prior to that is when I first came across shadow work. And I found this journal. I was trying to see if I could like pop it up to give people the name. I follow the woman on Instagram as well.
Is it The Mountain Is You? Is it that one?
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
I can
it's a shadow work journal.
Picture it. It's like a beautiful lavender cover. It's like a really simple book. I don't know if anybody wants it, DM me and I will go into my emails and I'll find it. But the prompt was to write out your 5 ideal lives. And I think had I not been going through every single prompt, I honestly would have skipped that one because I would have been like, that's stupid. That's not even shadow work. But what I found is that it was really easy to do 1 and it was pretty easy to do 2. And even 3 was like, oh, whatever. But when I got to 4 and 5, because it's 5 unique versions of your ideal life. And so you really have to, you're like, okay, well, I've done all the easy ones, but like, what would 4 look like? Or what would 5 look like? And I really took the exercise seriously. And then the sort of call afterwards was to look back on the 5 lives, because you're not writing it like, you're not writing goals out. Like, you're not like, these are my 5 lives that I'm going to like bring into fruition. It's literally just allowing yourself to dream unadulterated. And then I looked back over the themes of all 5 of my lives, and the theme was freedom. Like I so desperately, desperately craved freedom, like freedom of movement, intellectual freedom, financial freedom. And it was, I did it around the time that I was grappling with this question of like, should I continue to job search and accept one of these offers, or should I take a bet on myself? And so it was certainly part of the catalyst of being like, hey, if you take this job, even though it's a life-changing amount of money, you're going to be working 80, 100 hours a week. And that's the opposite of freedom, the thing that literally came up for you in every single one of your ideal lives. So maybe it's time to play around with some pivots and making some different decisions. But I love that prompt. Yeah. So I feel like shadow work for me is an opportunity to make some space to think through maybe the questions that aren't superficial, or the things that are not so like easy for you to have a mental conversation with yourself about.
The scary ones. And I'm curious, I think one thing that came to mind when you were talking about, and I literally was writing that down because I remember when you did this exercise, and for me, it was actually almost a little too, it was scary to do that work, because when I was like, I think when we talked about this, it was like last year, and I was like in the middle of like the deepest, darkest, like so hard, like almost like dark night of the soul vibes. And I just like felt like I couldn't even allow myself. And one of the shadows that I work with is like, or even I think a common question that comes up in shadow work is like, what would you want if you like weren't afraid, or like, I think a lot of our shadows are like, what are the things that hold us back? It's almost like that our ego wants to keep us safe. And so it doesn't, sometimes it's like, oh, you don't need that. You don't really want that, because wanting that and allowing yourself to want that would like shatter a lot of things, whether it's like, I'm curious how that showed up for you.
Yeah. I feel like in some ways to me, shadow work is the other side of the spectrum of manifestation.
Yes.
Right. And I know we've talked about this before, that it can get really frustrating sometimes for people to be like, I'm manifesting that. And you're like, okay, but what work are you doing to remove the barriers that would prevent you from, inviting this new thing into your life? And that sometimes now in our current culture, it can just become a bit of a buzzword. But for me, when I think about inviting new energy or new opportunities, or like right now, I'm just thinking a lot of abundance. Like one of my mantras that I come back to a lot is I choose abundance, because it is a choice. Like I am actively choosing abundance. I'm inviting abundance into my life, but that means I have to do a lot of work on the other end around my scarcity defaults.
I'm curious if you would be willing to share one thing in whatever depth you're willing to, or, you're comfortable sharing, but like, what is one, either like shadow or like mindset or anything that holds you back from abundance?
I think the biggest one that comes up again and again in different iterations is me not believing that I deserve it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but why? Like, does somebody deserve it more than you? Like, why? Why is that in your brain? But I'm like, oh, there's just it's almost like waiting for the other shoe to drop mentality. Like I'm
Oof.
just like, it can't just be that good. It can't just be that easy. Like life just can't be that abundant. There has to
Mhm.
be something terrible waiting on the other side. And so
Mhm.
that is one that I continued. I don't have it solved, folks. It's one that I like continue to come back to as it, sort of comes up in like different iterations of the same issue. I don't know what to.
Yeah. I struggle a lot with that one. And honestly, even like again, the last year of shadow work, I also uncovered like why, because I had a really unstable childhood, and not to trauma dump, but I think it's important to like it's so valuable to like understand, because a lot of people just like kind of treat these like, oh, I just am scared of this. But if you can like really understand why and almost like make your body and your nervous system like reparenting, like making yourself feel safe again. So for me, like it was like every time things were really good in my life, I would like move across the country, be like ripped out of school, and like, everything would kind of fall apart. So for me, my nervous system learned that really good times are followed by like it's nothing is stable, not like you're not going to build, everything's going to fall apart as soon as it gets good. And I have now just been like working through that. But another one that's really weird is my I have a lot of like generational trauma, I think, around abundance, because like my grandmother had to work really, really hard, like, and um basically, I meant like my mom worked like so many jobs, and also was like in real estate during like the 2008 financial crisis and like bubble bursting and everything. And the more abundant my life gets and the more I get to like have a witchy business and do all these things, like I saw my family growing up and they never like had careers that lit up their soul. And there's this weird part of me that's like, I feel guilty, or like
Mhm.
it this is too good to be
Yeah.
true.
Like,
Or
why does it get to be easy for me when it was so hard for them?
yeah, or even kind of like selfish in some
I
ways,
totally
or
understand.
like, am I crazy? Do you get that?
Oh yeah, I totally understand. Like something I actually shared a couple of book clubs ago is that both of my grandmas were orphans.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? My one grandma became an orphan at age 5, and then one in her teenage years. Um, and I was thinking, I had just read The Many Daughters of Afong Moy.
Oh, I haven't read that.
Oh my gosh, Meg, I can't believe I haven't recommended it to you. How selfish of me. It's the
Actually,
same guy that wrote On the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. Have you
I
ever
haven't
read
read that
that one?
either.
His name's Jamie something. I gotta look this up.
I literally was just I just finished I actually just finished the trilogy that we read, or
Yeah,
the
the
first,
Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels.
a little too much romance for us, but
It
so
was
now we
so
need to
good
choose
though.
better. Dungeon Crawler Carl though is so freaking good in your deal. Okay, the
It's so
mini
good.
daughters.
I need to read the
Okay,
follow-up book. I need to get through a couple of my trilogies before I start any more series. But the author's
won't
name
read the
is
rest of the series. I
Jamie Ford.
it.
And the first book of his I read was a book called A Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. It's still to this day one of the best, most beautiful books I've ever read. It says it tells the story of a forbidden romance between a Chinese American boy and a Japanese American girl during the internment camps of Japanese Americans. And it's set in the Pacific Northwest. It's set like outside of Seattle.
That's not the mini daughters. That's the first one.
No, The Many Daughters of Afong Moy, which is
Okay.
spelled AFONG and then MOY, is
Okay.
a multi-generational novel that follows the descendants of Afong Moy, the first Chinese woman to arrive in America, exploring themes of inherited trauma through the lens of epigenetics.
Wait, I have this saved, so maybe you did recommend it.
Oh
Sometimes
my
I feel
God.
like
It's so good.
I
It's
think
so
I've
good.
like just read, you know how sometimes you're just like not in the mood for certain books or anything?
Yes.
I feel like, but I'm like pretty intuitive with it. So I'm like, if, because Dungeon, even like this book I keep talking about is like,
Yeah.
I tried to read it. And I was just like not in the headspace. And now like 5 people have recommended it to me. And I'm like, okay, now I'm like super
Yes.
into it. But yeah, I have this saved and I'm really excited.
It's so good. I feel that same way when I start reading a book and I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to love this book and I want it to have my full attention. And
Yeah.
so now is the not at the right time. Like I don't want to waste my first time reading a book that I know I'm going to love when I'm not into it.
And
But yes,
sometimes
read
just in
it.
like a mood, you know?
It was amazing. I'm curious, Ashley, if you what books you've read. Drop a comment and let me know if you
Yeah.
have some on the TBR, if you've read some of his books. But it's beautiful. And to bring my rabbit hole back, the reason I was thinking about it is because at a similar time, I'd heard somebody say, like, we were already in our grandmothers, right? Because like our seed was already in our mothers that were already in our grandmothers. And you think about this inherited trauma, and now there's so much research,
Mhm.
especially done around the trauma that has been carried down as a result of World War II and the
Yeah.
Holocaust. So it's like scientifically validated. Like it's a real thing that we literally inherit trauma. And so it does make me wonder. I don't know. Like I haven't done enough work to have an answer to this, but a question I at least have is to what extent is some of my constant default to scarcity inherited from having
Yep.
two grandmothers that grew up in intense scarcity.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. So I did a really weird woo-woo womb healing one time where I literally like visualized like going into my mother's womb and like seeing her when she gave birth to me and like seeing almost like the wish that she had for me. And then going into my grandmother as well, like and like seeing the trauma and seeing the fear and the ways they'd been hurt and how they like internalized that and how it kind of shaped their hardness in some ways, or for my mom shaped almost like this like deep vulnerability. But it's so funny because even I think like what people experience can also like shape like the entire, not only how you parent, but like I feel like there's like, what do you want for your children and how do you lead? And so even like when I did this exercise and it was like a deep visualization, it's almost like my grandmother wanted us to be strong. And there's like a fine line between wanting to be strong, you know, and like also just wanting to be like strong enough to not be hurt and things like that. And I do think that, I mean, even when I think this relates to even like how we work and how we live and generations, you know, because even people who went through the Great Depression, they probably, as they raise their kids, they're like, make sure that you need to make money, you know?
Mhm,
And so I think
mhm.
like it's like just survive at all costs, just like get a good job, etc. And then like I think that maybe the next generation, what they were like, okay, you not only want to survive, you want to make big bucks, you know. So like go into those careers where like you're going to make a ton of money, and so it's like we have the jet skis and the big houses and all this shit. And then I think that was unfulfilling. So it's like the next generation, they're like, do something that you love, do
Yeah.
something that just lights your heart up. And like I talk to people a lot, especially millennials, who are like, I want to do something that like I want to change the world. And I'm like, cool. Well, you work in a tech company, so
Cool. You work at ExxonMobil, so how's that going for you?
yeah, and and I'm joking as well because I do believe that you can find a lot of fulfillment, but I do
Yeah.
believe that it's almost like this thing that sounds really beautiful on the outside also adds so much pressure in a way
Yeah.
where it's like, I mean, I I'm a sales coach, and there's times that I've thought about getting out of sales. I don't know if you have, but like the more healing I do, the more I'm like, what am I doing? But that's also why I changed my business this year. And like I feel I love sales, and I think it's literally such beautiful and deep psychology. And I truly believe that like I don't want to change the world. I just want to change a few people's worlds.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there's this like massive pressure around fulfillment for like I would say like our generation that I see just like hurting people because it's like they're kind of putting this like fulfillment on a pedestal, and it's like when they talk about it, it seems like it's like working in a nonprofit, working in a company that like bring that like changes the world and like brings good. And I'm like, cool, work in a nonprofit, or find ways to change the world around you and to make it better. But like, I think there's such an opportunity to do that in almost any job. Let's be real. There's some companies are pure ass evil, but I do think like you can still find fulfillment and do something super fulfilling, even if it's like not doing exactly like your passion. My sister is literally she actually went to school she started illustration, and then she realized that drawing was too important to her and she didn't want to make it her job. You know what I mean? There's also I don't think that like, to me, when people say that, I want just like work in something that like, I'm like, you're trying to identify yourself by your work. And it sounds like you don't have a rich life outside of work. So you have to like, you're trying to find these things in work to like fill some gaps inside of you.
There's so many things I want to dig into from that. Here are the first things that came up for me is this idea of like big cultural mentality swings.
Yes.
And I think that is so present in the millennial and even in the Gen Z generation, that we are desperately seeking fulfillment.
Yeah.
And that maybe we have swung too far over. I don't think this is true for either of us, but I have interacted with folks that are like, I don't feel like I should have to care about what people are willing to pay me for. I should just get to do whatever brings me joy. And I'm like, unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in. So it's like a bit of a mentality swing that like maybe they were working too hard and were too focused on just like grinding for their company when like loyalty still mattered. And then we saw that was a completely false promise. Just a completely false promise, total lie, absolute bullshit. So we've swung over the other direction. So that was one thing that came up for me. Also, this idea of monetizing hobbies, and like the moment that we monetize a hobby, we run the risk of losing its importance or losing the intimacy that we have with that moment of creativity or connection. So I want to go more into both of those, but I also want to share a story because I haven't thought of this for years, but it came through so clearly when you were just walking through those concepts, that I remember being maybe like 23 or 24. So I was new to Chicago. I was new to the corporate world. And I had worked all through college, but I had gotten to do jobs where like, I was the student body vice president, and like I got paid for that job, and it was hard, but it was like deeply meaningful work. And I was a student ambassador. So I had both donated a tremendous amount of time. Like I spent a lot of time in high school and college volunteering, but I'd also gotten paid for some of that. But then I'd also had real jobs. Like I worked at a bank for 5 years to pay the bills. Like that was not fulfilling, but I was doing enough work outside of the bank, which was the primary way I paid my bills, that I felt very full.
Yeah.
And so I got to Chicago, and I was still like, I was volunteering at the food bank. I was volunteering for the Chicago Debate Commission, but I was lacking some of that feeling of fullness. And I remember having this moment where I needed to take a week off because I was going to New York to volunteer to host a Model United Nations conference.
Oh, cool.
And my company was giving me shit about it. And I think I asked them to sponsor me. Like I'm trying to remember the exact logistics of it, but I think I was so delulu about how corporate America worked at the time. But I was like, of course my company, my place of employment would want to sponsor me to go do this really important thing for a nonprofit that like brings good into the world. Like obviously. And not only did they not want to sponsor me, but they like certainly didn't want to give me PTO. So I ended up having to take a week of unpaid leave to go donate my time. And I remember it being this real inflection point of realizing that I was not going to be able to rely on my corporate employers
Oof.
to give me the type of fulfillment that I needed. And if it was that important to me, I needed to find other ways to fill my cup. And so it is like I still volunteer a ton. So it's a lot of volunteering. And then I think I've added this other layer in the past like 6-7 years of all of these creative hobbies as well. And then I'm very, very careful to not monetize, to never put pressure on myself to monetize those creative hobbies at risk of ruining them for myself.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting because I don't know about you, but when I tell people, I'm like, "Oh, I'm, like, really into this thing." It's like the first question in America is like, "Oh my gosh, do you like are you gonna, like you should do this.
Mhm.
You should sell it. You should have, like, workshops or whatever." And I'm like, "Not everything needs to be fucking monetized."
Yeah.
You know? And as you were talking, oh my gosh, even just like the word full out of fulfillment, I think is like what people don't realize because this image came to my mind as like almost like a glass. And I feel like a lot of like if this is like fulfillment, I feel like a lot of it's almost like when you I feel like a lot of people are trying to like work is often like such a big part of our lives. And I feel like they're kind of like boulders, you know, they're like big rocks. And like they're like, okay, you're filling up your cup and there's these big rocks. And you're like, why don't I feel fulfilled by this? And I'm like, okay, but your cup looks full because it's like to the top, the rocks are hitting the top, but there's so much space in
Yeah.
between. And I'm like, I feel like people don't realize how much like, honestly, I didn't realize how empty my life was. And to be fair, there's 2 reasons for that. One, I literally was just so focused on the big rocks, thinking that that would, like, get, I mean, to be honest, it was literally just, like, a trauma response of, like, success and work was, like, the thing that I could control the most in my life. But literally just filling that up, I'm like, sometimes that's water, like the fluid, the beauty, like all of those things, the relationships, like creativity, all of that truly fills up the cup. But also something you said a lot earlier that I absolutely loved was you're talking about how like uh I had this like vision of my life, like when I was working a corporate, and I didn't realize I was like, oh my gosh, filling every moment, like trying to like put all these pebbles in there to like, get more rocks in my cup, filling all my time with work actually didn't really lead to a lot of great work. I mean, like I was like, I was crushing it. I'm so proud of that hustle. But now I'm like, wow, my work is 10 times better with creativity and like with balance and with these like
Mm,
fulfilling exercises. Sounds like you've had the same.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. Um, oh my gosh, so much good food for thought. And we are
I know.
already five. I'm like, oh, just processing.
Yes, I
And
know.
we are already 5 minutes away from our wrap time. And I want to, as always, hold a bit of
Mhm.
time for celebrations. My celebration is going to be a show and tell. So I'm going to grab it. Do you want to get us started with celebrations?
Yeah, I have a show and tell as well. It's really silly.
Wait, come back. Don't wait. I come back so I don't want to see it. Okay, I'm back.
So I literally found this is a really silly one. Well, one, I'm literally going to Italy tomorrow, so I'm gonna like have a lot of
Yeah,
show.
you
But
are.
I found this expo space in my neighborhood where they have really weird expos. So I went to a rock one and I got this crystal, and it's literally like my soul. No, I'm obsessed. It's literally a amethyst and pyrite and a clear quartz cluster. And I went back the next week to the expo and it was a fairy market and I texted you and I got a magic wand of abundance.
So cool.
And I literally just like use it as like a fidget thing.
Wait, like hold that closer to the camera so people can see it because it is like it's so detailed and it's so cool.
It's so freaking cool. And when I'm rich as hell this month, it's the magic wand, like clearly. But it is also, it's like, it's just silly, but I really like it. And I'm obsessed with it.
And it's okay to be silly.
Yeah.
Like that is the balance that we are striking. Like it is okay to be whimsical and be silly. And we are also serious professionals that do deeply important and meaningful work. And that is part of becoming a whole human. And as Michelle said, imagine that a well-tended human produces better work. Yes.
Who knew? Correct. What's your show and tell? Also, I kind of like show and tell even more than celebrations. This is great.
We can pivot to show and tell. Okay, so I just got back from Italy.
Yes.
And Florence is known for their leather goods. And so I got this beautiful leather journal with a V on it. I decided to make it into a little recipe book for myself. Yeah. But you know me, I can't just be doing recipes. So I'm doing recipes that are also crafting.
Oh
so
my
made
God.
The whole thing into like a cute little like recipe craft book.
Wait, I literally love these. You need to send me photos. Oh my God, they're so good.
So fun. And so this one is just like apps and sides. And I was having so much fun with this. Like, look at how cute these are. I was having so much fun with it, little Chicago hot dog, that I got another one that's a little bit bigger. That's like maybe like a cousin size, or maybe it's A5. Mm-hmm. So I could do entrees because the entree recipes are a little bit more complicated than the appetizer ones. But it's a new way to continue my love of crafting. And then of course I use that as an excuse to buy a bunch of new stickers. So I have
also the journals. I love that you literally list like half of Leslie's text messages over the last month were literally just like, Meg, what color leather journal do I get? Do I get mahogany for, like old library vibes? Like, this is what it's like being Leslie's friend.
Literally. I'm like, okay, I can't buy all of the things on my list. So which of these sticker books should I get?
I also love the justification of like, well, I just got this new sticker book, but like it doesn't really go with my other sticker book. So I really should get
more. It doesn't go with my other sticker book. So the new one that I got is called The Mystical Realm. And it should arrive like maybe today or tomorrow.
Do you have a problem though? Because my craft bag, especially for collage, is like so heavy. But I think that means that I just need to do a new bag for just stickers.
I have one of it right now, but these are all of my recipes.
Oh my God.
And so I feel like I need to get a new one of the same size and make that my craft with all my like scraps of paper. And Chris likes to call it my serial killer scraps because I'm just like cutting out magazines. Hey.
Wait, I do need to say one thing before we wrap. One fun fact about Leslie that I feel like a lot of people don't know because you don't share it is that you literally make art from like vegetables and bring it to like county fairs and win blue ribbons.
Yeah, I have a whole stack of ribbons over here right out of view.
Iconic. So you don't monetize it, but you do bring like the coolest art. Oh my gosh, you need to post it on LinkedIn because it's just adorable. Except at one time I remember very specifically, it's like the beat, like sheep. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's almost fair time again. We are only weeks away from the Montana State Fair. So get ready for some new fair art incoming.
Okay. I think for the next time we meet, we definitely need to do just like show and tell again because this was so much fun.
And here's my special things here, and here's this special thing.
Here's my stickers.
This was an absolute delight. Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody that joined. and was so active in the comments. We love to see it. And we'll see y'all again soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.